So, Croeso Cynnes to you, Steve. Delighted to be seeing you today. Thank you very much for agreeing to be our very first Meet the Member guest for CDI Cymru Wales. It's a new feature that we are just introducing into the fortnightly emails. It's going to happen once a month, and it's going to alternate with something else happening on the second fortnight email, which I'll keep back and share with everybody when we're ready for that. So really delighted to have you here today, and I've got some questions to kick you off really, but what I'd like you to do to start with is to introduce yourself to everybody. Tell us who you are and what your job is currently.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks very much for asking me. First one, a little bit scary, but I'll do my best.
We'll treat you gently.
Thank you. So I'm Steve. I'm the careers leader at Bridgend College, which is in South Wales. I started here 2 years ago, just over 2 years. And it's a new role for the college, which is exciting. So I manage a careers team here, which has grown as well. We look after everything to do with careers. So manage a careers program, which we might go into a bit more detail perhaps in a bit. It's been really enjoyable over the last couple of years. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity to talk about it.
Well, thank you for that. I take it you like a challenge then if you've taken on a greenfield site and built a team.
Yeah, no, I do like a challenge. I that's probably been one of the sort of a good description of it. Perhaps it's getting something new off the ground. Yes, the college had other investment in terms of careers before, but to have an internal team, yeah, I've certainly enjoyed a challenge, no doubt.
So, how big's the team, Steve?
So we initially started with me and two career coaches, and now we have 4 career coaches in the team as well. So it's been great, and we've been able to utilise that in terms of spreading across the 2 main campuses, and they've been able to look after curriculum areas each. So that's been a really good development.
So one-to-one, and then reaching out through curriculum as well, so that you're firmly seated where the students are and sighted where the students are. Okay, fab. So I'm going to respond to the invitation to talk about your program. Tell us a little bit about the program that you're offering, because I know that's quite important in the context of something that you're celebrating at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, so we just we've just achieved the Careers Wales mark, which has been really good to sort of recognise the work that we've done over the last couple of years. We've gone from, as I said, me starting off, I suppose in a sort of careers advisory role for the college, to developing, having a team. And we've established quite a strong careers programme over the last couple of years. And we're also following the Gatsby benchmarks as well as part of that model. So we've really tried to kind of reach over the stretch of the benchmarks to put lots of different things in place. So the career coaches particularly are delivering, and they do one-to-one sessions and group sessions themselves, but we also try to do a lot of work with employers. So we bring a range of employers in to deliver workshops. We look after work placements as well. And we've also tried to develop some new programs that are around employer engagement as well. So we've got a new scholarship program we've just launched. We do quite a lot of development around sort of international opportunities as well. And so it's been really great over the last couple of years to see that grow and have sort of good student engagement as well in all of those activities.
So if I were a typical student rocking up on my at the start of my career with you for a couple of years as an FE, what would I expect to be experiencing with you?
Yeah, so we, as well as obviously them completing their course that they've signed up for, we would promise to have a wide range of activities that they can engage with. So we try to, with our career coaches and curriculum areas, try to negotiate those activities, but at the same time holding those kind of areas that we would want to see in place. So we give all students access to their career coach, and they can look to have either a work placement or get involved in a mentoring program, or get involved in being linked up with employers for opportunities individually. So that could be like a request, if you like, for an opportunity to go and get some experience. All courses have employer engagement in terms of bringing in for workshop deliveries, masterclasses, And then also the career coaches are delivering their own sessions as well around employability. So we got a strong emphasis on making sure students aren't just coming and completing an academic course, but also are being linked up to the industry that they're interested in, as well as having that careers advice to guide them in, the path they want to take. And obviously that can tie in with university as well, if that's their preference. So we do a lot of work with those kind of organisations as well. So I would say I would like to think that we offer a rounded service in terms of guiding on a career path that they want to follow and making sure that people have progression routes to move into.
Okay, fab, thank you. So how much time do people actually spend understanding the direction that they want to go in, rather than testing it out with placements and so forth? That sort of process of helping guide that young person. Can you share a little bit around how you go about that for us?
Yeah, so in a range of ways, we try to tailor it to each student, because I think I'm a believer in that students are at different stages. But in terms of open access to that kind of support, they can access like a one-to-one appointment as much as they want throughout the year, and then time to obviously we give time throughout the courses to spend on work placement, to come and hear from employers, etc. And then in their course they have topics built in that are careers and employability related, and so whether that's delivered by perhaps a tutor, but often by us, or we bring in an external provider, would be a good number of hours throughout the year, at least 5 to 10 hours plus, where they would get to sort of link up their course and what it entails to the industries that are relevant to that. So a lot of our courses are vocational, so that kind of helps in terms of thinking about career paths. And then we've also built in some resources to help whether it's us or tutors, curriculum staff utilising it. So things like Unifrog, we've just purchased as a careers platform, and we also use Careers Wales website and other careers websites such as Prospects, all to support kind of students learning, like in sessions, but also that they can access themselves in terms of research. We encourage that quite a lot.
So do you do a lot of tracking on destinations in terms of they've gone through programs, they've signed up for a vocational course with you? How many of those go through from that vocational course into that industry, or is there quite a lot of churn for those youngsters?
Yeah, so we do track. So we, first of all, we're forming a picture of each student when they're here. So we're logging all activities, etc., and forming a picture of where they're heading. And obviously that's very different depending on levels of courses and how long they're going to be with us for. But in terms of destination, then we start that process around March time in Careers Week. So we call it internally our Next Steps Week. And we capture data around what students are planning to do following the completion of their course. So we start then some more intensive work with each of those depending on their aims. So examples being, if a student's heading for employment, we would do quite a bit of work there to make sure that they've found opportunities to apply for and support with that. In terms of numbers, it's quite a range. So we get quite a lot of students going to university. Quite a lot of students obviously coming back to education in some form, whether that's with us or an alternative provider. But then also, because we run vocational courses, there's a significant number that would enter employment, and we, there's no priority as such, but obviously that's a key step in terms of their career. So we place quite a lot of emphasis on making sure that they're supported into employment as well.
Fab. So I'm going to have to talk about the elephant in the room. There is no escape these days, is there? Particularly as it's today that we've had the news that as of Monday in Wales, people will be wearing masks wherever they go. And obviously we've got the 6 people down in the extended household bubble of 4. And no more than 6 may meet. And we know that doesn't apply to education, but we also know, don't we, there's a massive impact on what young people can go and do and what opportunities they might have in terms of doing that very important work experience to test directions and understanding and build capacity and so forth. So I guess that the question is, as a man who likes rising to a challenge, how are you rising to this one?
Yeah, it's well, what do we say? There was no way of predicting this kind of challenge that's arisen, and yeah, it's It is a difficult one, of course. But we, like, since March, we've already had to react to that. Back when lockdown started, obviously our students were still in college, as it were, and we were keen to always stress that we never closed. We were always continuing those courses, and similarly for our careers team, we had to react. We weren't on campus for any of that time, and we put a lot of emphasis on arranging virtual events. So we did a number of careers events in that time, as well as like delivering sessions, etc. Going forward, it's a similar picture, and we have got some time on campus, which is great, and we will be using that. But also, we're going to need to put a different service in place, and we've planned for that. Again, we're thankful that at this time there's so many virtual platforms. We're a Google college, so we're really well set up on Google to use that. And just ensuring that students receive the same service, even though we've got this really big challenge ahead of us for probably a foreseeable future, I'm guessing. Work placements is a difficult one, I have to admit. So I've kind of said that any other service part of the careers program, that we run, we can do virtual, but work experience cannot be replaced in terms of face-to-face contact. So we've got two things in place, really. One is that some employers still will accept work placements, and we will try to utilise those where it's safely possible. The other side is that there are a range of sort of virtual work experience opportunities which we can offer to students, and we'll try to encourage as another option, really, to complete definitely compulsory placements, but obviously also those who would like to sort of get that experience. So I suppose we're thankful, really, that there are some things that we can utilise that still give some kind of input, but hoping also that obviously things do improve going forward, that we'll be able to get back to some of the things we used to be able to enjoy.
Yes, in that world that seems a very, very long time ago, in distant memory almost, isn't it? All a bit weird. And it's all part of our life journey, really, isn't it? And we've talked a little bit about your love of challenge. What's your journey been getting you to this point? What have been the sort of the key points that have got you, the key turning points that have got you to where you are now? And how's that really shaped you as a person?
Big question. So
you don't expect little questions from careers people, do you, Steve? Go on.
I think first of all, personally, I started off at working for Careers Wales for 8 years. So in coming into this role, I suppose I would say I had a really good grounding in terms of training. I started as a trainee. Had a really good year's training, very thorough. Good, theory, etc., and background in sort of giving careers guidance. From there, obviously, 8 years of experience then of delivering in schools, colleges, career centres, working with a range of clients. And when I came to this role, I would say all of that really helped me, in terms of stepping into this, and with more responsibility, I would say. But then since coming here as well, I would say the senior management support here has been unbelievable. You can have a really good person in a role, but if the college or education provider isn't fully on board and supportive, particularly I would say in a careers role, it's never going to be the same. In line with that, the college had a plan, really, even before I came, and that wasn't just about my role, but about other roles as well, and more importantly about, I've mentioned Gatsby benchmarks. The college made a brave decision here to follow that kind of model, and I say brave just because we're the first college to kind of look at that and follow it, just because we've got a different setup here in Wales, which is great, but in terms of the sort of vision, really, to make sure we've got a really strong program, having that emphasis has really helped me then to have some clear direction and make sure we're putting the things in place that ensure our students have the best access to hopefully an exceptional careers program, and sort of aim for that, but also to be accountable as well, in terms of that. So quite quickly, one thing I've realised here is you can say you're doing some good stuff, and I'm sure we are. But obviously, to have that sort of benchmark against to measure really, and make sure you've got everything in place, not just what you think is good, has been really helpful to me anyway.
Thank you for that. And obviously on trend, because we've got the Gatsby pilot that's happening with Ronde Canontav as well, which by all accounts is going really well too. So nice to be positioned, I'm sure, at the sort of the cutting edge of what's happening in careers. So as we come to an end of our conversation time here, I've got one last question for you. So what's been your magic moment across all of your career? One moment when you went, yeah, that's spectacular, I feel fantastic. What was your one magic moment?
Wow.
And we'll leave people with something, a smile on their face. So the time when you felt absolutely brilliant about the work that you do. I know there's probably loads of them, but if you could just pick one for me, that would be great.
That's a really hard question. There's been several, I would say. Probably on a personal level, I would say probably the key developments really in terms of, that sounds a bit selfish, but my career. So
it's your career. You can have your key moment. You take ownership of it. Absolutely. The time that felt fantastic for you in your career. That's what
I think the two key moments really for me, it sounds really simple, but firstly, getting a job at Careers Wales as a trainee was a massive step for me. I didn't really know at that point what I wanted to do. Weirdly, that's a bit ironic, isn't it? Really sort of a little bit not lost, but wasn't sure where I was going with things, but had some ideas, and careers advice came up as quite a clear, actually looking at careers resources, a clear kind of area. I was thinking about teaching at the time and stuff like that, and it sort of came up as a related role. But getting the role, was a big step in terms of kicking that off. And then the other time would be getting the job here. So I needed another step at that point, and that came up as a perfect kind of time and a perfect role, really. I was quite passionate about FE, so I'd worked in colleges, but also doing some other stuff. And at the time it came up, it was just really timely, and it's gone on from there to be perhaps even better than I thought at the time. So those are the two key moments for me.
Fantastic. So it's about challenge and opportunity and being excited about it. And that's a great way to end today. Steve, diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you ever so much for sparing time and sharing all of your news, views and insights into the wonderful world of careers in FE. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers, you're welcome.